repeat that, no problem, right? Clear a voice also clear na? Okay, fine. Okay, let's continue, right? Yeah, I will show you the environment one more time, right? Right, fine, right, right, fine. Okay, let me give you an overview one more time here. So we are learning about how do we set up the environment for Angular, how we can set up the environment for Angular, how do we work with the environment for Angular, right? So to set up the environment for Angular, first point is actually you need to download and install Node.js. Already in your computers, you have installed Node.js. Am I right? Everyone have Node.js installed in your machines, right? Because already we were using our TypeScript, right? Already we have that Node.js installed. Now you need to install Angular CLI also in your computers. Angular CLI is a command line tool. It is a command line tool which is used to manage your Angular applications. It is a command line tool used to manage your Angular applications, manage Angular application, creating application, configuring the application. That is all done by using Angular CLI. You have to download and install Angular CLI. For that, in the command prompt, you need to run. From the command prompt, you need to run npm install -g Angular CLI. You need to run this. That means open your command prompt, npm install -g. npm is package manager, node package manager, and install -g. G is global. Otherwise, what happens is your library will be installed only for this local folder. Then you cannot use across other locations in your computer. So -g will make it global so that you can use everywhere. And @ Angular /CLI. Angular CLI. So this will install AngularJS, Angular library for you. So actually this is a tool. CLI is a tool which will allow us to create and manage Angular projects. So once you install Angular CLI, you need to test, you need to check which version of Angular you are using. Means which version of Angular is installed. You need to check that. So go to command prompt here to check the version. You can use ng -version. You can run this command to check the Angular version after installing. So you run this ng -version. This is the Angular version. And this is Angular CLI tool. And this is the version 9.1.1 is the Angular version. So some minor releases, minor versions will be updated. The major release, major version, you need to install and update. 10 is not available. 10 is available. Node is 10 version. Angular CLI is 9. 10 is available only for developers so that they can go to the official Angular 10 GitHub repository. And Angular people have a GitHub repository. You can go to Angular GitHub repository and download that 10 version beta and install. So how we can upgrade to the latest versions, other versions, we will discuss about that. That is not a problem. We will see later. But currently, when you install Angular, you will not get any Angular 10 because 10 is not yet stable. It is just in beta release. So you will get Angular 9 only. And it has downloaded these libraries initially. And what libraries are available, it will show you those libraries. So, and in that actually, there is a library RxJS. Which version of RxJS, it will display those versions also. So this is the basic Angular library installed, but this is not enough for creating projects. You need more library that will be created, that will be added when you are creating your project. I will show you how we can manage that, how you can handle it. So initially, Angular is successfully installed, and we checked the version of Angular. So you don't need to do any extra work here because already you have Node.js installed in your computers. You just run this command npm install -g Angular CLI. Once installed, check its version. So then it is ready. Now you can start working with Angular. And here, while working with Angular, so first, whatever the library is required will be provided by this Angular CLI. It provides a set of commands. By using those commands, you can create projects, you can manage your projects. We will see what commands it is having, how to use them. Step by step, we will learn all of them. Initially, Angular is ready. So Angular is ready. So it is installed successfully. Now we need to set up workspace for Angular project. We need to set up workspace for Angular project. Angular provides a workspace environment for your projects. You need to set up workspace for Angular project. Workspace is actually nothing but technically Angular workspace is nothing but you can have a workspace. We can have a workspace. So in this Angular workspace, globally, some libraries are installed. That means this workspace contains projects, and some global library. We have global library. So many global library files will be there. Now, in this projects, you can maintain your Angular projects, more than one. That means you can have project 1, project 2. Here the scenario is every project can have its own repository, and this repository will be used for all the projects. So that is the workspace. That means especially when you are developing an application in such a way that separate portals will be there, like customer portal is a separate, admin portal is separate, manager portal is separate. It's a huge application where we need separate portals. Admin have his own interface and controls. So manager have his own interface and controls. In that case, all the projects, means all the domains actually, they are working under a single environment. Then you need to set up a workspace. In that workspace, you can maintain multiple projects. So you can directly work with one individual project, or you can set a workspace to work with all projects, all your Angular projects. So better to do so, because in real world environment, We generally set up our workspace and we design all our projects in that workspace so that we can have a common shared library for all the projects and manage them easily. So we are setting up a workspace. And the key point about the key point about workspace is, if you intend to have multiple projects. So then if you intend to have multiple projects, then configure a workspace. And you can configure a workspace and add projects into workspace. That is the point. If you intend to have multiple projects, then configure a workspace and add multiple projects into the workspace. How we need to configure the workspace? How we need to configure this workspace? So first step, what you have to do is first create workspace without any application. So you have to create workspace without any application. How we can create an empty workspace without any application, so that in that workspace you can maintain multiple projects? For that, usually what you have to do is, in your command prompt, means in your computer location anywhere where you want your workspace, there you can create ng new and your workspace name, any name you can give for workspace. And so your workspace name, you can give any name, and hyphen create application is equal to false. Create application is equal to false, because I am creating an empty workspace without any application. First, create only workspace without any application. First, create a workspace without any application. Then you can create applications inside it. So that is the reason we are just creating a workspace first for our Angular project. What is advantage is, in that workspace you can maintain several Angular applications. You can create several Angular applications. Just create one workspace and see here. So I will go to the C drive here. Okay, directly in your drives anywhere. After installing the Angular CLI, you have to use ng new. And here I will say workspace, any name you can give. I will give the name as projects workspace, projects hyphen workspace. I just given that name. You can give any name, any single word also. So projects workspace. This is our workspace. We are creating a workspace, a new workspace, and create application. Remember, Angular CLI commands are case sensitive. Capitalization matters. You have to type exactly in the case they support them. So it's very important you follow my capitalization here. I am giving project name, workspace name can be in any capitalization, but commands must follow certain rules. Create application, create is lowercase a, that means it is camel case, right? Create application is equal to false. We are setting it to false. That means we are not creating an application. We are creating a simple projects workspace. For our projects, we are creating workspace. You can give any name, Angular workspace, project workspace, anything you can give. Right. So projects workspace. So that is the name I have given, and hit enter. Now it will take little time, because In the workspace, it will copy some library for you. In the workspace, it will add some library for you. And what is the library available for the workspace? What is the library given for workspace? And how this library workspace? So we will see that. It will take little while. Yes, it will take some time to create an Angular application here. So it will take some time to create an Angular workspace and configure that workspace. Once the workspace is created, then we can understand about the library. We can understand about the library. What is the library copied for that workspace? You can understand about it. Yep. Yes, Pankaj, have any doubt? Any doubt? First, let's create first level. Let's finish first level. Then we will understand about. Then we will understand about creating, updating from one version to another version, migrations, and all. You will see. First, you need to know the environment, right? Then you will understand about the updating of versions. Right. First, understand, then you can learn how you can update from other versions. Right. No, if you have any older version, then you need to update to Angular 9 version. So if you are using any Angular older version, update to Angular 9, because we are using all 9 related features only. If you have to update from one version to another version, you need to first uninstall your all the previous Angular related library. Then you need to install the new version for that. So actually, for that you need to run the update commands. You have separate update tool, right? We have separate update tools. You can update by using those update tools. You can update by using the update tools. Now suddenly today many people came to this session. Guest appearances are given, and these guest people will ask question, what is the purpose of npm and all right? Now again I have to tell from the beginning what is JavaScript, what is TypeScript for these people. So many guests are uninvitedly attending today, right? And all you guests, don't ask again what is TypeScript, what is npm, how to install Node.js. All these days we were working with the same concept, right? Don't take so serious action, Ankit Gupta. We will not remove them immediately, right? We will let them in. They may be the people Sometimes they know already TypeScript joining for Angular. Don't be serious on them. Right? We will once check them and handle them. Right. Right. Okay. So our workspace is ready. Actually, difference between workspace and application is, Kundan, workspace is a collection of multiple projects, and your application is only one individual. Multiple projects means multiple portals. For one application, for one project, there can be multiple portals. For example, suppose you opened any banking site, HDFC Bank. This is a banking website. When you open this HDFC banking, and you can see in this HDFC banking, so what you can see, what you are looking for, product type. There are several categories here. Not only that, you see top personal banking, one, NRI banking, SME, wholesale, agri. These are actually separate portal mechanisms actually. Don't think that they are just separate tabs. That means for NRI, separate portals will be there. Separate portal systems, separate deposits will be maintained. So their process will be different. Then generally when you go to that, it will change you to that particular portal system. That means one project will have several portals here. It will get into that. That means actually what we need to do is we need to design an application for one portal, another application for another portal. You see personal banking, retail bank, how many categories will find in a early, right? So all these actually coming from multiple applications, but all belong to one category. That is the reason if you have a relation between these domains and to maintain them, so functionality will be little varying, but several functionalities will be commonly shared across projects. In that case, you need to maintain a workspace. In that workspace, you need to maintain application. Am I right? Understood? Understood? What is the necessity of a workspace, right? Yeah. So here, our workspace is ready now. It is ready. Successfully, workspace is installed. Let's look into the workspace, what it is having, and what is the purpose of this. We will understand about it. So generally, when you are having any other older versions, how we can update from older version to new version in Angular actually. One process we have to configure, means migrating. There are two techniques. You are migrating your application, or you want to just install or update the new version of Angular. For that, you have to maintain some repository and update it. How that process happens, I will tell you. Actually, if you are having any older version, so you need to uninstall. That means above this, I will give you update your CLI. If it is using older version, update your CLI if it is using older version. What you have to do is in the command prompt. So you have to first run npm uninstall install Angular CLI, Angular/CLI. You uninstall the existing version. So, and what you have to do is, so we have to use npm. So you have to use clear cache. Clear cache option is there. Cache. Actually, clear cache is not required because you need to just update to the new version. So what you can do is After you uninstall, you can install npm install @net Angular/CLI. Or you can do one thing, from old version to new version. If you want to update, just what you do is you can just run update command, that is ng update, and you need to update Angular/CLI. Make sure that Angular CLI and @net Angular/core, these two are used. Then you can update. You can update from the previous version to the new version. And you need to update two libraries actually. So one is this Angular CLI and Angular core. So you can first test that by using ng update. First run ng update. It will tell you what to update. It will ask you what versions currently available. Then you can update to the new version. You just update those options, it is enough. Then you can check that the new version is ready. You can start working with that, right? So you can directly run this. You can run this command, right? So that is general update option. And sometimes if it is not updated, you add this command also, because files may not be removed. Then allow dirty. When you run this command, it will allow changes actually. Dirty means changes. So that means it will allow all the changes and update all the changes, migrates into this. Okay. This is to update, right? So this you can manage. Simply you can just run this command. So first install, the uninstall and install, or you can simply run these options from other versions. This may not be required for the new people. So you just install Angular CLI and you can directly install from the workspace. You can configure and do with the workspace, right? Yeah. So the workspace is ready. Let's open our workspace and see what is there in this workspace actually. Let's go into the workspace and see what is there in that workspace. So let's open our Visual Studio Code and projects workspace. Let's go into file and open and open folder. That is our workspace folder. And that is projects workspace. Projects workspace, that is the folder we are opening here. Right. Once the project workspace is defined, it is ready. And you can see now, you can see some files are copied into your workspace. Some folders are created, some files are copied into your workspace. So generally, we need to understand the purpose of these files and folders, how to handle them. So what is the purpose and how do we use them? We need to know about these files and folders. Means what are these folders and what is the purpose of these folders, right? Let's take a look about that. So this is all the process. I will upload a documentation for you so that it will be easy for you. Okay. After configuring and setting up all the environment for you, right? And yeah. Now, yeah. So this is setup workspace, right? Setup workspace for Angular projects. Okay. And here we need to run this command. So you have to create a workspace in that application. You have to run this command. So this is the command you need to run, right? So that means it is ready. Now your application is ready. So workspace is ready. Now in this workspace, by default, you got some folders. You need to understand the purpose of those folders. What is the purpose and how do we use these files and folders? You can see in the workspace, you got some folders and files. You need to understand what is the purpose of these. Let's see what are these options and what is the purpose of this. So workspace configuration related files. Let's see what are those files. I will just create a table for you to have a clarity on that. Right. Okay. And here we have workspace configuration files, and we have the description. What is the purpose of them? Description. That means, so here, purpose of this. In the workspace files, what are the workspace files available? You can observe here. First, you can see there is node modules. You have node underscore modules. Actually, this node modules is a folder which contains all the library that you install for your project. That means your project may require different libraries. Suppose you want to use Bootstrap, CSS Bootstrap. You can download and install Bootstrap. You want fonts, you can download and install fonts. You want animations, you can download and install animations. When you download any specific package for your project, that package related all the library is present in this node modules. So node modules, so it is actually it is a folder. It is a folder that comprises of files, that comprises of library that comprises of library installed using npm, installed using npm. So library can be like Bootstrap, like jQuery. So like animations, materials, etc. So many types of libraries can be there. You can install them. So here the point is you are adding the library. You are downloading and installing the library for your project. That library will be copied here. So whatever the library required, so for your projects, remember this is workspace, and that means this library will be shared to all projects in the current workspace. So it is not for only one project. The library will be shared to all projects in the current workspace. Currently, we don't have any projects. We just have a workspace. How to create a project, I will show you. We will discuss about that. Currently, we don't have any project here. Just we have that. You can observe node modules. So you can see so many libraries are already available. You have Angular, DevKit, Babel, and types. So many are there. If you download any new library and install, that library will be available here. That library related files will be available here. That means JavaScript files, CSS files, code files, everything, themes, everything will be inside this node modules. And currently you are working in a workspace. Means it is for all projects in this workspace. Currently we don't have any projects. So this is the workspace related library we are discussing. Okay. Second, you can see after that there is a file .editor config. .editor config. There is a file .editor config. So actually, this is the configuration file for code editors. It is the configuration file for code editors. Configuration file for code editors. Currently, what is our code editor? Currently, our code editor is Visual Studio Code. That is the code editor. That is where we are writing the code. So that means the problem here is, one of the main problem here is, you are working for a project and it is a large project. So teams are there in US, UK, India, various locations. Hundreds of developers are working on that project. And the team in UK is using WebStorm. They are not using Visual Studio Code. And people in US, they are using Visual Studio Code. And people in India, they are using some other editor like Sublime or some other editor. Now the point is, same project, same application, but we are working with different code editors. Then one of the major problem you will get is code consistency. That means some editors will have some additional specialty. They will give you some additional facilities. Through those facilities, you can write the code. That means if multiple developers are working on the same project across various editors and IDEs, then the code consistency issues will come. That means, so the plugins supported in that editor and how they write the logic for that editor, some issues are recognized by some editors, some issues are not recognized by some editors. Due to that, consistency issues will come. And due to that, what happens is, in one editor, I written a line and without semicolon, it allowed. In another editor, they will write a line without with semicolon, it is also allowed. But consistency is not there. One is writing in one way, another one is writing in another way. That means we need to put one configuration file and tell all the developers that this is the rule for your project. Whatever editors you are using, if you mismatch that rule defined in the editor config, then immediately it alerts him, it warns him, saying that this is not expecting from the code. That means it will improve the consistency. It will improve the consistency, right? This is very much required. This is very much required. That means how much space it has to take, how much tab it has to take, how to end the lines. So all these are very much required to configure, very much required to configure. So many code editors are there. So many code editors are there. So we can use different code editors. So generally, that means the main intention is, so developers, I will give a detail here, developers working. So that means developers, multiple developers, right? So multiple developers working on the same project across various editors and IDs. So may have different configurations, which leads to code consistency issues. Which leads to code consistency issues. So editor config file allows to configure common rules, common rules for coding, common rules for coding. That is one important point here. So that is important point. Developers may use different editors. So different editors. So various editors used for Angular are so many editors are used for Angular, like BB edit, like Code Crusader, like Light, Code Light, like so many are there. We are using elementary code. We have like builder. So we have Git T. So we have GitHub, people using GitHub, people using GitLab. So people using Gitbucket. So many are there. People using Gox, people using Visual Studio Code, people using Komodo, right? People using Kakuin, right? So many editors are there. So across the world, different developers use different things. So there is nothing like one or two that people use. That's the reason we need a common configuration for them. Even people like Python use PyCharm, right? So Ruby people use RubyMine because they want Angular in different locations. That means they use this is for Python people, like they use Python people like PyCharm. So Ruby people use RubyMine, right? So and even people use WebStorm. So many. That means different technologies, people have different editors. Then the point is, when developers are working with the same environment, this issue is very common. So that is what actually, to overcome this issue, you need to set a configuration in this file, open editor config file. You can see it here. It says which character set to use, what is the indent style, insert final line, new line, true or false, trim the trailing white spaces. Here already some small rules are there. Max line length, if you want to set a limit for it, you can write some new rules also for the code editors, which you will understand when we start working with them in different environments. You can see that actually. So the point is, what is the purpose of this file? First, we are understanding it. That is editor config. So another file you can see in that you have a git ignore. You have a file git ignore. This is for collaborating our application on GitHub. So later, when you know or learn about GitHub, you will collaborate with GitHub. Actually, what it will do is it specifies intentionally untracked files that are ignored on Git. That Git should ignore. This requires knowledge on GitHub. Later, then you can understand that how you can ignore those Git untracked files, right? Especially when your project is published, project is collaborated with the Git, and you are using Git as a tool, or you are working with, so, and you are doing all the version tracking and everything. Then important is some files are intentionally untracked. So, and you need to tell the Git that you have to ignore these untracked files. That requires knowledge of Git and all. As of now, you can ignore this point. You don't need to understand about what is Git ignore until or unless you know Git repository, right? So this is not important at this level currently, right? We have another file. So you can see there is another file, angular.json. So this is another important file we have there. And what is the purpose of this Angular JSON file? What is that Angular JSON file and its intention? Actually, Angular JSON is a CLI configuration for all projects in the workspace. It is a CLI configuration for all projects in the workspace. That means actually configuration in Angular.json includes options for building application, for serving application, for testing application, testing tools, what tools to use. So that means it, etc. It contains all the information about which compiler to compile, which server to serve, so which testing tool to be used for testing for your projects. Remember, this is for all the projects. Angular.json contains all the configuration for your projects, which includes so which compiler to use, so which server to use, so which testing tool to use. All such configurations for your project are defined in this Angular JSON. You can see Angular JSON. So it will define here. So currently it is having only few because we don't have any project. When you add project, this Angular JSON will be updated with so many details. Those details you will see. Currently you will not see any details here because still we don't have any projects. So only few details are available here. Like when you create a new project, that project will be stored in a folder called projects and the version here. And you can see so node modules from where the library schemas are taken and the projects how they can refer. Lot of other settings will add to this when you add a project. I will show you after creating a project in this workspace. We will come back to this file and we will see lot of changes happened in this file. That means it contains the build information because we don't have any project. Once you add a project, then it will say which framework to use for testing, what tools to use for testing, so which compiler to use for building and compiling. So all such options are defined in this Angular.json. From where to bring the CSS files and all such information is present here. So that is Angular JSON. Angular JSON is that, right? Now another you have that is package.json. Usually the purpose of this package.json is nothing but package.json so configures all the package dependencies that are available to all projects in the workspace. That means what are the packages currently installed and what are the packages available for the projects. All the projects related packages related information is present in package.json. This will be very important for future because suppose you downloaded some project from online. After downloading the project from online, somebody developed it. You try to run that project in your computer. Then immediately it says that this library is missing, this library is missing, this library is missing because you have installed Angular and you are working on Angular. But in his project, he used some special libraries which you also should install before run that project on your computer. Then what packages are used for that project? How do we know? From where that information we can get so that we can install those packages and run those packages. That information is present in package.json. So it contains, actually it configures npm package dependencies, npm package dependencies that are available to all projects in workspace. So it will pick up all the packages and the dependencies when you are trying to run this project on any machine. So all the packages information which are required for your projects So that is defined inside this package JSON. You can see the package JSON currently it contains. So these are all the libraries currently already available. That means Angular animations, Angular common. These are all the dependencies you need for Angular RxJS version. It will show the dependencies. So that whenever you are running this project, it will download all these dependencies and run that project. Run the project. So for that we need package JSON. And one more file is there, that is package lock JSON. Actually, package lock.json. Actually, it will contain version related information. It provides the version information of all packages that are installed into node modules. So which version package you are using, what are the versions of the packages, that all information is present here. That means all packages that are installed into node modules. What is the package name? So what is its repository? Which version of package you installed? All that information about all the packages present in node modules, that information will come. So node modules related all packages and their version related information will be in this package log JSON. Package JSON contains only the library that is required for Angular applications and all the dependencies. And the rest of all other packages which are used for the projects across node modules. So it is defined here. All its versions and configurations are defined in the package list. And we have another file that is readme. You have a readme.md file. It is help document. That means when your project is being used by anybody, then you can create an help documentation for that, and you can give all the help documentation that you can write inside this readme.md. It is a help documentation. One more file is there, tsconfig.json. You have another file called tsconfig.json. This is one important file. Actually, this is related to your TypeScript. Actually, tsconfig is nothing but it is a TypeScript configuration. TypeScript configuration file. That means when code editors are using your TypeScript language, then so generally the code editors requires information about the TypeScript language that you are using. So that means compiler don't need this file actually. This configuration file indicates into which file all the transcompiled code must be copied out directory. And it is also showing about into which target version of JavaScript the TypeScript code need to be compiled. That means what is the compiler version, what is the target version. So what is the library for DOM manipulations? It will get you the information about what is the targeting versions. That means, so actually this configuration file, TypeScript configuration file, allows to configure the target JavaScript version, that is ES5 or ES6, which target version you want, that you can configure here. That means transcompiling, and not only that, so like configure the output directory, into which directory all the compiled code must be copied for TypeScript files. All that information is present in this tsconfig. We can modify, we can add certain rules into them additional. And finally, we have this tslint.json. And this is also very important. Actually, tslint.json, it is the tslint means actually you can simply say that language analyzer. It is the language analyzing tool. Actually, tslint is a language analyzing tool. So what is a language analyzing tool? I hope many of you know that. Language analyzing tool means it defines the rules. It is language analysis, right? Analysis. It is language. Oh, sorry. A language analysis tool. It is a language analysis tool. Language analysis tool. That means it sets the rules for TypeScript. It sets the rules for TypeScript. That means, so in which case you have to write class name. Is it the camel case or Pascal case? Which case you have to write, and whether you need a semicolon as a line terminator or not. Whether I can write an if condition with a terminator or not. Implicitly conversions. Do we need to define data type or not? That means data type related information. So, and code blocks related information. All such information is defined here. We have to set the rules for TypeScript. That means, do I need to define data type? So in which case we need to configure. All such rules are defined in TSLint. That means the rules for TypeScript. We have to use TypeScript according to the rules mentioned inside it. You can see some rules are there. It is a code analyzer. And it contains some rules like, do you want curly brace? Yes or no? So, and do you want spaces between the words, between the keywords or not? You want conversions, right? You can see no inferable types is true. No inferable types is true, which indicates that you don't need to define a data type for variables. When you declare variable, no need to mention data type. Actually, in TypeScript, you learned data type to be defined, but no need to define data type because inferable is true, which means implicitly it will understand the data type according to the value you define. All such options are configured here. All the rules. That means string, you want single quote or double quote. That means quote mark true and a single quote is defined. That means now strings you should not write in double quotes. You have to write in single quote. These are all the rules that you can change whenever you want for the TypeScript, so that all people will follow the standard rules and configure the code. That is what actually the rules for TypeScript is defined here. Into which target version of JavaScript it will compile, it is defined in tsconfig file. These are all the files in workspace. That means this is for all projects. Now the next point what you have to learn is how to create a project and what is the repository of project and how the project looks like, how to start with the projects. That is the basic architecture that we will see in tomorrow's session. Hope you are clear with this, and tomorrow we will start designing project, how to create a project, what is the infrastructure of project, how the project works, the architecture, and how it is handled. We will discuss that in tomorrow's session. Okay, right. Thank you.